skills. Sorry, this is once again, this is getting way into the deep internals, but effectively, like, if
Yeah,
you
it's not
change
really
your items,
snapshotting.
then that will change the minion. But when you change from one set to the
Ow.
other, it doesn't change that, because really you have when you've
Did
got,
my Topaz Flask expire? I wonder if I got loading screen fucked or if I just never pressed it.
Just that we have been
Oh, I actually got load screen fucked. Man, I hate this shit.
I say that like it's the player's fault. It's not. It's our
Because
fault.
I pressed it at the start of the map.
PvP releases have not gone well for us. It has not been
Yeah, there's like a...
overly, so it's just kind of
quiet. There's like a minor bug. It's not really a bug, but it's kind of a bug. You need to like pay attention to it. Whenever you have grace period, your flasks won't reuse themselves. And I hit harvest right as it expired, and I stood still while checking the plots, which means it expires.
There are technically 2 copies of that.
I kind of forgot you have to, never do that.
I should hope that actually in
Yeah, it's super annoying. I mean, Sanctum has actual load screens, so you always repress it. But it's a problem with like Alva and Harvest and boss rooms that have doorways. Like the reuse at end just doesn't work with grace period. Like if you look at all the other flasks, it's like they're paused during grace period, but the Topaz happened to be just exactly at the point where it's expiring. Unlucky.
We see this as an issue. We're like, the thing that actually we should have done is like make the wildwood harder. But if people are like that doesn't look right to the players, right? Like if people are like, oh,
bro, the wildwood was hard. My fucking character died in there. It exploded. I get what he's saying. Like it's a... If you just naturally follow wisps that you see, and just like kill shit that you happen to see and encounter and in the wildwood, and don't find a vendor, you're going to make monsters have anywhere from 10 to 30 times HP. And like if you're in a league start scenario on some shit character, it's not fun. It's not a good experience. And there's no way to dump your wisps to prevent that, to like make that not happen. And you can't leave early. Like what, that's why I skipped the mechanics so often, or did it at like the end of maps instead of at the start of maps in the start of the league, because I still wanted the vendors, I wanted charms, but like if you don't have 10 more DPS, you literally can't do the mechanic like the way it's intended. It's like the tuning is fucked. Once you're god tier end game, obviously as we see now a month in, like it's the most rewarding the mechanic they've ever made. But like in fresh start scenarios, the tuning is crazy.
But sometimes to understand where I am failing in terms of death. So for instance, I died to detonate dead and lost my hardcore, and it took me a while to even learn what I died to was these
welcome this this guy. Welcome to hardcore, but get used to it. He started playing the game this league, logged into hardcore and died to DD. It happens to all of us, man. If any of you guys ever die and you don't know why, please record your gameplay with Shadowplay and link it in my chat, because if it's funny, I mean that's just good for all of us, right? And if it's not, we can go over it together and try to figure out like why you died.
And I think context like that, it should stand. But yes, there are certainly a lot of issues. I wouldn't say a lot. There are probably more contexts, and I'm going to audit them all, and where corpse life is being used where it probably shouldn't be. This is
something that I definitely agree with, the idea that like DD can exist in certain cases and it's cool. Like Alira is a great example. Like if you die to that shit after Crypt died to that 11 years ago, like you fucked up. You fucked up, and it's funny, and we can laugh at you. But then there's like new versions, and like Totem DD. Totem DD's been around forever. It's one of those things that like, if you put totems on your maps, there's going to be DDs, and like you've opted into that. It's your choice. The newest version of DD, fucking Corpse Detonator Archnem, means that every single rare monster you ever encounter in any zone can always be DD. So it's no longer confined to certain scenarios. It's like literally every single monster can always have it. Which just like forces you to constantly be like, I can't stay on this exile corpse, I can't loot that essence, I definitely can't loot that essence until you like are super sure and you verify that there's nothing on screen. Fucking Archnem. Amen.
So the other thing as well is that we are going to try and attempt to put more of this information in the game in some way. I don't have a full explanation of exactly that yet, but that is something that
they actually have a thing in game for this kind of stuff, but they don't really use it very much. Like this exists, which has a lot of information about like, you know, how shit works, but it's very underused. I think one thing that could be kind of cool if this was just simply more in depth, but then more importantly than this being in depth, there were links to it from the UI. Like if you were to open this button, for example, and you hover over evasion, there'd be like a little eye right here, and you click, and it would just link straight to the evasion part that would go in depth and talk about like, you know, how evasion works, how chance to hit works, how more chance to evade works, the armor formula. But like obviously, just opening this and like scrolling to the side, like fuck that. Like I don't even know where I would start if I wanted to like learn about armor, but it like need to like link from like the relevant parts of the game.
But I think having the game be like, okay, like what would my character be like if I had a headhunter on when you don't actually have a headhunter? I don't think that's right.
I've been feeling this more this league. I've been like just playing characters without even really pobbing them in depth. I just like log in, click the buttons that I'm pretty sure are going to be best, and then like just send it. And like it definitely, you know, it leads to you playing the game more instead of planning out everything and making sure it's all solved and optimal. And minor downside is people then come and ask for pobs, and I don't have one for them.
I do think we
Just
can do a
import
lot
it,
better
it's
with
fine.
regard to showing you the information.
I don't think it happened in PoE1. I mean, I'll be real. They, you know, they've talked about maintaining PoE1 and PoE2 together and like having both games develop alongside each other. That shit's gonna last like a year. Like PoE1's fucking dead when this game comes out. I hope PoE2 is gonna be good,
With
and I think it will be. Like the more I listen to Mark and Jonathan speak, like it probably is gonna be good, and we're gonna find out in 5 months. The gold thing sounds cringe. The thing with gold, like gold, it really doesn't seem like gold is gonna be a super impactful mechanic. Like it sounds like gold. Basically, if you play PoE1 right now, and you actually interact with vendors, it's bad. Like, I'm going to go to this vendor. Certain items are going to cost transmutes. Some are going to cost Scroll of Wisdom. Some are going to cost armor scraps. Some are going to cost fucking alterations. And some might even cost augments. Based on, oh, an alchemy one too. They all cost different things based on the status of the item, the level of the item, and all kinds of weird shit. It's not good. It's really not good. And gold is going to replace that to be a little bit more intuitive and more likely that you actually will have something you can buy. Because like it's not abnormal to not drop a whetstone until Act 3. It's like if you wanted to get a new weapon base, you just can't. But if you had gold, like you'll always be able to get like something. Like the gold thing is going to be way better in campaign, but like whenever they talk about it, it always very clearly sounds like it's like a campaign/early game thing, and then like in the end game, you're just like you can target a slot with it and just like fucking gamble, which is great because gambling is obviously good.
And
You should gamble.
But I would want them to have completely distinct unique item drop pools going forward, as opposed to like an overlap. I would want it to be, and at the same time make them not require the same cost.
I feel like if you're capable of doing the harder boss, intentionally doing the easier one because the harder one doesn't drop the item you want, that feels kind of weird to me. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it could be fine. I kind of like just having different fragments though for different bosses. It's like a simpler solution. Like if you know, hypothetically, let's say like my belt, for example, on Cyrus doesn't drop on Uber Cyrus. So it's like if you want the belt, you want to do normal, but like I really want the chance at the flask, you know, and like I can get the belt like while going for the flask. It's nice. Like forcing you to like trade off and choose like one or the other, I kind of wouldn't like.
To get in.
I think the economy is always going to force that same problem to happen though. Whenever there's these like super rare drops that are powerful, like this is something I talked about yesterday a bit, but like, you know, the idea that running Uber Eater isn't worth it and you should sell it is just, it's just not true. Like the fact that you can sell it for that value is because the average drop is higher than that value and people run it. The issue is if you're not running it 1,000 times, you can have a bad luck streak and then you don't profit. But like killing the boss is a positive EV. It just, you know, sample size can cause problems. But that's not like a game design issue. That's just trade. Should have to do 1,000 to profit? You don't. If you do 50, you are more likely to profit than to not profit. But if you can only afford 50, you might be unlucky for those 50. And like if there's rare drops, you know, randomness can always fuck you. If you run 3, you might drop 2 ashes. I dropped 2 ashes back to back before. Like that's sick. But like if there's rare drops, there's always going to be a chance that you get unlucky. But the market is efficient, right? So TLDR kill bosses.
Mark and I are both rather unhappy with stack sticks.
What about Voidborn keys? Was it just about access to the fights? Maybe it was only about access to the fights, but like someone linked a fucking Progenesis in general chat and softcore trade, and now we're into the league. Like no one's even fucking killed like Hag 5 yet. Like it's like instant. Like it wasn't like actually an hour, but it was like no one's like entered a red map yet, and the fucking Progenesis isn't in the league. Like yeah. I'm a bit salty about that one. I'm a bit salty. Like I feel like Uber boss loot should come from Uber bosses. Like I'm pretty sure they don't let you put Original Sin in the Voidborn key because it's intentionally locked behind a difficult challenge. It is meant to force you to do hard content to get it. And I guess like the difference is like I kind of see Uber boss loot as the same thing, but like it's in the keys. It's in the goddamn keys. Like Original Sin is just one of those. It's honestly Original Sin is like the only item in the game that is actually locked behind content that is truly challenging and cannot simply be outgeared. Because like every Uber boss can just be one shot in trade leagues if you want to. But like Original Sin, it doesn't fucking matter what your gear is. You have to either play well or buy it from someone that played well, and that's cool.